Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update.
Welcome to Industry Insight. Now, if you've ever ordered something from another country, you know that feeling. Super excited about receiving the product, but then you're hit with an unexpected shipping fee or customs duty right at your doorstep. It's a situation that's all too common in the world of cross-border e-commerce, but behind the scenes, companies like UPS are working hard to change that experience for consumers and businesses alike. Today, we're joined by Luke Lee, the APAC Marketing and Digital Experience Director at UPS, with his deep expertise in the intersection of logistics and digital experience. I'm really looking forward to Luke's sharing about how businesses can better manage international shipping, overcome the challenges of transparency, and meet the rising expectations of global shoppers. Luke, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, good afternoon, Lynn. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the show. Now, look, the growth of cross-border e-commerce in Asia-Pacific has been remarkable in recent years. So from your point of view, what are the main factors driving this growth, and how are consumer expectations evolving in this region?
Yeah, thanks, Lynn, for the question. So I think, to kick it off, right, global trade is definitely, changing and evolving. I would say, even in the recent 1-2 months, we have been seeing trade getting more and more complex. But I think one of the reasons why global trade is really rising, especially here in APAC, is really a rise of the affluent, middle class in APAC. Consumers, having a little bit more disposable income and thus, really making that purchase online, maybe from US or be from Europe, right? With that, we also do see that there are some challenges, as you have pointed out, right, with the consumer ordering and receiving a package. I think one key reason that you mentioned earlier is, receiving a package, and then even before having to receive it at the door, you are hit with, duties and taxes and fees that you need to pay, which at that point you are really scrambling, right, to find, your cash or your credit card or your phone to make the payment. But at the back of your head, you are thinking, what charge is this? Like, I need to really understand it, right? So it's really a frantic moment. And it's really frustrating for consumers. But what we feel is frustrating is not because that they need to pay those duties and taxes, right? Because we all know, different countries have different duties and tax laws. We are aware and we need to pay for it. But what is really frustrating is the lack of transparency and the lack of visibility that these duties and taxes are coming, which is what we at UPS really identify and resonate with, and really are working through deploying a solution, right, that can address this solution, really to provide that total sort of guaranteed cost that a consumer would need to pay upfront even before purchasing the product, right? And then once they receive it, they know nothing else they need to pay for, right? They can just receive it seamlessly. Yeah.
We definitely want clear pricing, fast delivery, and easy returns. So it's clear that expectations are shifting toward a more seamless experience. How are businesses in the logistics space adapting to meet these changing demands?
So, pointing back, to some of the recent trends we have been seeing, right, with global trade, definitely, as I mentioned, it's really getting more and more complex. So businesses are really looking, right, to streamline and really to spread out and diversify their business and really build up their supply chain resilience. So, maybe I can quote, right, we actually did a recent survey with some of the local APAC businesses here. They are a mix of larger enterprises and also smaller SMEs. And some key findings that we have found, right, is really telling. For example, more than 70% of the businesses that we surveyed mentioned that the recent rise in global trade, be it tariffs or be it regulations, is directly impacting the cost of doing businesses. And they're really looking at ways to mitigate that cost. I think the second selling point is also that they are looking at, actively mitigating that cost, right? So be it to expand their base into a new market, right? Finding new buyers from another market, or really shifting their production into a lower cost country, right, operationally, so that they can really be competitive and continue to stay afloat. So few key, trends that I'm seeing, right, is Asia Pacific definitely is emerging as a key market, right, for businesses to really invest and double down on, as well as Europe. Those are two key regions that we have been seeing some strong trends there.
And supporting this shift is probably things like automation and real-time data, right?
Exactly, because shifting into a new market is definitely by no means easy feat, right? Each market do have their own set of challenges and regulations. Within APAC itself, each market has its own nuances, right? Has its own language, has its own culture, and even business practice. And really, if a business would like to, expand into a new country, right, it's not something that they can just do overnight. They really need to be in tune with the nuances of the local laws and regulations, which we understand those challenges, right? So there are tools, right, that we are developing and have already developed out there that helps to automate and streamline the process to provide the information easier and quicker to businesses.
Okay. Now, we briefly mentioned transparency earlier, which is a major factor in the international shopping experience. So how crucial is it for businesses to offer transparency in pricing and delivery? And what role does that play in terms of customer trust?
Yeah, so definitely transparency and, in terms of visibility of the pricing is critical. Again, right, I think no one really wants a bill shock when they receive the package. So from that perspective, I would say it's two things, right? One is really having that visibility upfront, when purchasing, a product. And secondly is really having a way for consumers to make the payment even before the package reaches and arrives, right? So make the payment when the package is en route to you as a receiver, right? So all of this will really help to build that customer experience, right? So that, we really take away all of the scrambling at the last minute. And I would say from that perspective, it really helps to improve customer trends because recent studies have already shown, right, that consumers want more and more clarity. They want more choice as well in terms of shipping. And they are actually also actively looking at shops, right, or marketplace or platforms, right, that provides that kind of flexibility, provides that kind of choice and transparency. And they're actually choosing to go with merchants, right, that provide that instead of others, even though, the price may be slightly different, right? They're willing to pay a bit more just for their ease.
Okay. So talking about that, how can logistics companies like UPS help facilitate this transparency?
Yeah. So from our perspective, what we have really done is a few things. So I would say a logistics company, first and foremost, right, they really need to be able to understand what are some of the challenges that the customers are facing. So in this case, let's say it's transparency, right? And then thereafter, really providing them a solution that is, that is seamless and easy to use, not just for the larger businesses, but even for the smaller SMEs, right? They can really get on board and really leverage on the tools and solutions to have that sort of that visibility and transparency. So, for example, in UPS, right, we have seen in recent times with all the rising trade complications, a lot of shipments that are actually held, right, because of improper or vague commodity descriptions, having a lack of licenses, right, when shipping into a new market. So what we have done really is to really automate that process, right? When a shipper is keying in, for example, a product right now, right, when they're shipping, right, in UPS we actually leverage like AI and also machine learning, really to understand and prompt the shipper in terms of, hey, what are you actually shipping, right? Are you just shipping a pair of shoes or is it like a white leather shoes, for running, right? Because having all of these accurate details and descriptions really helps to break down all of the barriers to trade and really provides a more streamlined experience. And that's what we feel businesses to really take all of these challenges away when they are looking to diversify and build up their supply chain.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win. It benefits both businesses and consumers as well. So to be clearer about how all these tools and innovation work, can you tell us how AI and machine learning and automation all come together to help us get our products quicker and with a smoother journey to our doorstep?
Sure. So I think in UPS, right, we do have a lot of packages moving around that work daily, right? And all of these are actually data points, right, that we could harness. So some examples of it, could be really understanding, right, what are some of the common products, right, that are being shipped today, right, that are that are more problematic, right, from the perspective, and then really identifying like a solution on how we can support that. So, for example, let's say this commodity that's always shipping to this particular market, right, is always facing holes and issues. What we can do is then harness that data, right, and then build it into our AI model, right, to really prompt to say that in the future, if there are similar commodities going into this particular country or region, right, we will upfront, inform businesses that, hey, we require, this, that, and all of these documents, right, to ensure that your shipment is seamless, right? And what that helps is that, then to the consumer receiving the package, right, they will be able to receive it on time, right? And to the shipper, they also need to scramble less. They don't need to entertain calls from the consumer asking where's their package because everything is done seamlessly. So we're trying to really harness all this information that we have and really building it into like a network, right, that we will then feed to the businesses upfront through machine learning, through AI, right, and automate the whole process so that it becomes really like second nature to them when they are shipping.
That's right. Look, these innovations, I think they're game-changing because they not only improve the logistics side of things, but also help businesses create a more personalized experience for the customers. But, cross-border logistics is known to have its challenges, especially when it comes to customs, duties, and tariffs. So what are the biggest hurdles businesses are facing, and how can they overcome them?
Yeah, so I would say some businesses, some of the hurdles that they're facing that we have seen recently as well is, I think they are looking to expand maybe a bit too quick and also spreading themselves out too thin, right, into various different markets. And the reason why I say that is also because, everyone is looking to diversify their supply chain, in recent times, expanding to Europe, expanding to Asia, LATAM, for example. But there are many nuances that each market would have, right, in terms of business practices, in terms of regulations that they need to adhere to, right? So, for example, they might be shipping, like, for example, a semiconductor chip, right, to Japan.
Right.
And then now they decide to, let me start to ship it to Malaysia, right? Just do everything as per normal. But what they may find out is that, my shipment actually stuck in Malaysia because I require, these few documents, right? So that's a hypothetical scenario. But those are the kind of hurdles that we have been seeing businesses really have. And, we are actively working with them, right, to be able to provide their education upfront and, leveraging the tools and solutions to really break down these hurdles for them.
Okay. Now I know what are some of the reasons why my product is stuck somewhere and taking longer than it should. Now, looking to the future, what do you think the next big opportunities are for businesses in Asia Pacific's cross-border e-commerce space, and how can they prepare for the next wave of growth?
Yeah, so I would say the opportunity definitely is, we are seeing, Asia continuing to be one of the prominent destinations, right, prominent markets for growth. But even in other emerging markets, right, Vietnam, Indonesia, Cambodia, those are markets that are showing strong growth. Even India as well, right, are strong growth. So those are, markets that businesses can really consider, right, in terms to leverage and capitalize on those growth. I would say in doing so, right, it is also important that businesses, I call it the 2 R's, right. They need to ensure that their supply chain is resilient in a way that, they are able to quickly pivot, right, their supply chain accordingly if they're faced with any disruptions or setbacks, and to keep the business going. But they also need to be robust, right, to ensure that, if a certain market doesn't work out, right, or a certain market does have some regulations that they could not overcome, right, they should, how quickly can they pivot, right, to be able to explore a new market, right, and keep their business afloat. So that's, I feel, are the key things that the businesses really need to consider as they are looking to capitalize on new markets and new growth moving forward. And I think at UPS here, we do understand, right, that businesses, again, are looking to diversify and spread their business out. So what we have actually done as more of a practical solution, right, is called supply chain mapping, whereby we will, sit down with the customer in terms of, mapping out their end-to-end supply chain, right, and really to understand, okay, this is your current business today, where do you want to go in the future, right? Which markets do you want to go? Right. Where are you sourcing your products from? And then piecing everything together so that, we are able to identify any areas of efficiency or areas that we can further optimize for the business.
Very interesting.
So that really helps them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really a full, drawn out, detailed plan, right, that we have for them as part of a free service.
Okay, look, we're running out of time, but before we let you go, very quickly, consumers these days, they're increasingly looking for brands that align with their values, especially when it comes to eco-friendly practices in shipping. So do you think sustainability is another opportunity that should be capitalized?
Definitely, for sure. Because we have, a few customers already asking for more sustainable kind of transportation options. Right, and we do know, like, even in EU, right, sometimes the regulations there do require businesses to also show proof, right, not just on their transportation, but even on their business practice, how sustainable are they. So this is really a trend that we have been seeing, right, over the years. And again, right, in UPS, we do have, various methods, right, be it sustainable packaging, be it in terms of carbon offsets, right, in terms of emissions. So those are really solutions that we do offer business. But it's really a key part that business need to consider because consumers as well are also looking and making their decisions based on how sustainable a business is, right? So if you really want to ensure, right, that you are competitive, that you are really at the forefront of, all of these technologies and changes, right, you really need to consider sustainability as a key part of your business model and practice. Yeah, that's what I would say. That it's really a critical component these days.
Look, sounds like a really exciting space to be in. And it seems like businesses need to be more proactive in embracing new technologies and trends to stay ahead as well. Thank you so much, Luke, for sharing your insights today.
Thank you for having me, Lynn.
All right. He is Luke Lee. He's the APAC Marketing and Digital Experience Director at UPS. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your insights today.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.